There is a specific kind of tired that sleep does not fix. You know the one. You wake up after 8 hours and something is still heavy. Not sadness. Not burnout in the way people describe burnout. Just a flatness, a low-grade depletion that sits underneath everything you do, even the things you enjoy, even the days that look completely fine from the outside. This video is going to name the 4 internal systems that quietly drain people who appear, by every external measure, to be doing well. And I need to tell you up front, number 3 is the one most people never see coming, because it disguises itself as one of your best qualities. Because the story you have probably been telling yourself is some version of this. I am okay. I am functioning. I have no real reason to feel this way. And that last sentence is the most damaging one, because it turns your own exhaustion into evidence against you. You start believing that because nothing is visibly wrong, the depletion must be a flaw, a weakness of character, a failure of gratitude, something you should be able to logic your way out of. But what is actually happening has nothing to do with logic or character. It is biological, it is systemic, and it has been running in the background of your nervous system for a long time without a name. Dr. Stephen Porges at the Kinsey Institute developed what he called polyvagal theory, a framework describing how the autonomic nervous system operates across 3 distinct states: safety, mobilization, and shutdown. What his research revealed, and what subsequent studies have confirmed across thousands of participants, is that the nervous system can become locked in a chronic, low-level defensive state. Not full fight or flight, not complete shutdown, but a kind of sustained vigilance that the conscious mind stops registering as stress while the body never stops paying the cost. 81% of participants in a 2019 follow-up study reported feeling subjectively fine while showing physiological markers consistent with prolonged stress activation. Fine on the outside, quietly exhausted on the inside. That is not a coincidence. That is a pattern with 4 very specific engines. Think about the last time someone asked how you were and you said, fine, good, busy, and the word left your mouth before you even checked whether it was true. Not because you were lying, because checking had become something you stopped doing. Somewhere along the way, managing the outer presentation became the priority, and the inner experience became something you got to later. And later kept getting pushed. And now later feels like a place you have not visited in a long time. Before we get into all 4, 2 of them are going to sound like things you already know. Do not let that fool you. The familiar ones are the ones that have been running longest. The ones your system learned to hide first. Pay particular attention to number 2. The first quiet system draining you is called hypervigilant social processing. Your brain, specifically the amygdala and the anterior cingulate cortex working together, is designed to scan social environments for threat. In people who grew up in environments where emotional safety was inconsistent, where you had to read the room carefully to know what version of yourself was safe to be, this scanning system gets calibrated to run constantly, even in environments that are objectively safe. Every conversation carries a background process. How is this landing? What does that pause mean? Did I say too much? Are they pulling away? The person on the other side of that conversation has no idea this is happening. You barely notice it yourself anymore. But the metabolic cost of running that process all day, across every interaction, in every room you enter, is enormous. It is not emotional sensitivity. It is a nervous system doing threat detection in a place where there is no real threat, and exhausting itself completely in the process. The normal part is that this system was built to protect you. The significant part is that it never received the signal that the danger passed. The second system, the one I flagged, is called emotional suppression load. Here is the mechanism. The prefrontal cortex, when it suppresses an emotional response, pushes it down, manages it, decides this is not the right time or place, uses a significant amount of cognitive and physiological resources to do so. Dr. James Gross at Stanford University has been studying emotion regulation for over 2 decades, and his research consistently shows that habitual suppression, not processing, not expressing, just containing, is associated with increased sympathetic nervous system activation, meaning your body stays in a mild stress state, and with reduced working memory capacity, meaning the mental energy you have available for everything else quietly shrinks. Here is what this feels like in your actual life. It feels like being more tired after social situations than the situations seem to warrant. It feels like a kind of cognitive fog that arrives in the evenings. It feels like you can hold it together completely in the moment and then feel oddly depleted afterward with no clear explanation. You are not imagining that. You are feeling the metabolic bill for all the containing you did, and the longer suppression has been the default strategy, the higher that bill gets. I want to stop here for a second and say something directly. If you have spent years being the person who is fine, the person who handles it, the person other people lean on because you seem so stable, this second system is probably doing more work inside you than almost anything else. And it is not a flaw. It is what you learned to do when feeling things fully did not feel like an available option. That learning made sense then. But the body kept the invoice. The third system is called chronic meaning suspension. This one is subtle, and it is the one that catches people completely off guard. Meaning, the sense that what you are doing connects to something that matters to you, is not a luxury the brain processes separately from function. It is tied directly to the dopamine system, specifically to what neuroscientists call the mesolimbic pathway, which governs motivation, anticipation, and reward. When the activities filling your days consistently fail to generate genuine dopamine anticipation, not because they are bad activities, but because they are disconnected from anything your deeper self actually values, the mesolimbic pathway runs at a low idle, not broken, not depressed in the clinical sense, just quietly underwhelmed. The specific feeling of this is that you can be objectively productive, objectively busy, even objectively successful by external measures, and still feel a persistent flatness underneath all of it, like you are going through very competent motions, like you are building something, but you are not sure it is the thing you actually wanted to build. This is not ingratitude. This is a dopamine system waiting for a signal that the direction you are moving in is the one your actual self chose, and not receiving it. The fourth system is the heaviest one, so stay with me here. It is called attachment vigilance fatigue. Psychologist Dr. John Bowlby, whose attachment theory has formed the foundation of developmental psychology for over 60 years, identified that the attachment system, the neural architecture governing how safe we feel in closeness with others, does not switch off in adulthood. It runs continuously beneath adult behavior, monitoring for signals of security or threat in our closest relationships. In people with anxious or avoidant attachment histories, this system runs at a higher baseline activation, scanning constantly. Are they still there? Am I too much? Am I not enough? Is this going to disappear? The exhaustion this produces is different from social exhaustion. It is deeper. It is the exhaustion of caring intensely about connection while simultaneously bracing for its loss, of wanting closeness and monitoring for danger within the same breath. And the cruelest part is that this system works hardest in the relationships that matter most, making the places that should feel like rest feel like another place to manage. Here is what I need you to hold on to. 4 systems, not one, not a vague sense of being off, but 4 specific, nameable, neurologically real processes running in the background of a life that looks completely fine. You are not imagining the depletion. You were not failing to be grateful enough or strong enough or well-rested enough. You were carrying something real that nobody handed you a name for. You have one now. None of this requires a dramatic overhaul. Awareness of a system is the beginning of agency over it. You cannot regulate what you cannot name, and you just named 4 of them. There is a piece of this, though, that I did not cover here, because it belongs somewhere else entirely. Knowing what is draining you is one thing. Understanding why these 4 systems got so loud in the first place, the specific conditions that calibrated them this way, that is the part that changes what you do next. Without it, you will manage the symptoms but keep recreating the conditions. If any of this felt true for you, that next piece is not optional. It is the other half of what you just learned.